Welcome back to the show. Check out these headlines, ladies and gentlemen. We got a new clip from Brad Garlinghouse at a conference. You're going to want it. Every G20 nation on the XRP ledger, we're going to take a look at it. And how about this? XRP Escrow? How about this? Evernorth giant XRP liquidity pool. Let's talk about it. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. You can follow us on X, YouTube, and digperspectives.com for exclusive content. And you can follow this guy. This is Mr. BXRP. He is an OG in the neighborhood. And you know what? You can follow him. He's doing content and it's hot and straight fire. I tell you what else he's doing too. He's got a great course if you're interested. And it's the holidays, ladies and gentlemen. There's a discount, Brad 100. It's a 90-minute course. It's very affordable. And it is the perfect 90-minute course for anyone who wants to get up to speed on this crypto space. Not to mention, give him a like and subscribe here on his channel because he's going to be putting out straight fire content, as you can see right here, ladies and gentlemen. Don't miss it. You're going to love it. Let's get started right here. It's 3.92. Double checking 3.9. No, it's going down even more. $3.75 trillion market cap for crypto, and the market is off by 4%. What's going on here, right? 108,000 plus for Bitcoin, 3,800 plus for Ethereum, XRP back at the number 5 spot at 250. Now we're off 6% on the 24, much like the rest of the market is, but we're still up 3.5 on the 7-day where everything else is off. Looking at the range of price between 250 and 266, we're currently falling like a manhole cover from the sky, right? That's where we're at here. Don't let it get down into 220 or lower range, because I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'll find it from somewhere. You know how I do it. Right here, it's iTrustCapital, ladies and gentlemen. It is the home of the greatest crypto and gold and silver IRAs on the planet. Don't believe me? Sign up, find out for yourself. The empowerment you get with your back office is bar none. It's unmatched. Their customer service is absolutely stellar. And I tell you something, they got staking on the platform too, if you're interested. Yeah, and they also have the new PCA account, which is a closed loop system. If you're a day trader, stop listening right now. If you're a long-term holder, you want a critical listen right now. Because the reality is this new PCA is a closed loop system that allows you to put your long-term portfolio inside this PCA, which gives you institutional grade custody, just like your IRA. The only difference is here, it's not an IRA. And if you come out of the account, you can't come out in crypto. And that's done to remove the attack vector from bad actors from taking and hacking in your account from our side of the responsibility fence. And they're trying to remove that as much as they possibly can for us because they understand. Listen, people at iTrust have been through hacks themselves. We sat in meetings with them. They're working tirelessly to try to figure out ways to help protect you and give you the peace of mind you're looking for. So don't mess around and click the link underneath the video when things are at an all-time high for scams and hacks. You can avoid all of that. Start getting the best night's sleep of your life. Click the link right underneath the video and get started today. You're going to love it. All right, now we're going to level set for everybody here. It's a 2-minute plus video. Empire collapse. It shows an example of Rome, Spain, Britain next to USA. That's the thing we're facing right now. This has all been about US dollar dominance and the protection there of it at my house. Now, the way I say it is because the reason we're talking about this is because whether it's Bitcoin, XRP, or something else, I believe all of these assets were derived under the notion to protect the dominance of the US dollar going forward, including stablecoins, right? So with that, let me play this and we'll run through the rest of the information.
There's a pattern that has destroyed every major empire in history. Not conquest, not invasion, not revolution. Economic collapse. Specifically, currency collapse. And it happens the exact same way every single time. Rome, the empire that ruled the known world for 5 centuries, collapsed when its currency became worthless. Spain, which controlled more gold and silver than any nation in history, went bankrupt repeatedly until its empire dissolved. Britain, which dominated global trade for 200 years, lost its empire within a decade after its currency collapsed. 4 times in recorded history, a dominant empire has followed this exact pattern. Military overextension, unsustainable spending, currency debasement or money printing, inflation, loss of confidence, collapse. And every time, the people in power believed they were different, that their empire was special, that the old rules didn't apply to them. They were wrong, every single time. And right now in 2025, the United States is following that exact same pattern. Step by step, warning sign by warning sign. The only question is whether we're near the beginning, the middle, or the end. Exactly. This is the story of how empires destroy themselves through their own currency, how it happened to Rome, Spain, and Britain, and why every warning sign says it's happening again. Let's start with Rome, the empire that dominated Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East for over 500 years. At its peak, Rome controlled 60 million people across 3 continents. Its military was unmatched. Its infrastructure was the most advanced on Earth. Its currency, the denarius, was trusted everywhere, from Britain to Egypt. The denarius was a silver coin introduced in 211 BC. It contained about 4.5 grams of pure silver. For centuries, it held its value because the Roman government maintained its purity. When you received a denarius, you knew exactly what you were getting. Pure silver, real value. This created trust, and trust allowed Rome to fund its expansion, pay its soldiers, and build its infrastructure. But empires are expensive. Every generation, Rome's borders expanded. Every expansion required more soldiers, more forts, more roads, more administration. And eventually, more money than Rome actually had. So they did what every empire does when it spends more than it earns. They debased the currency. Emperor Nero, ruling from 54 to 68 AD, was the first to significantly reduce the silver content of the denarius. He needed to fund his lavish lifestyle and expensive military campaigns.
Now, it only got worse from there, but they're talking about the debasement of currency. And back in 1985, we had the Plaza Accords where they debased the U.S. dollar for the other nations that needed it. And here we are again having conversations about Mar-a-Lago Accords, where we'll see another debasement of the U.S. dollar again. This is what I believe the trade talks and the tariff leverage is all about. You have to get the manufacturing back in the United States to shore up by getting the industry back here. How do you do that? Through tariffs. And what do you have to do in the interim? Because that will take years to get that manufacturing back home and rebuilt. You have to debase the currency. What do you do in a modern age to deal with debasing the currency when you know the fallout from doing so? History just told us what the fallout is. You come up with a new payment system that's digital and tokenized. Well, then what do you do? Well, then you issue private stablecoin issuers, creating a new use case for Treasury bonds for the United States. They become the sponge or the bulkhead to soak up all of these hyperinflated bonds or inflated bonds, debased currency, providing a larger use case than what the world has seen to date. That's the goal. And I believe that's just one leg of the goal. Because I believe once you stabilize through that moment of private stablecoin issuance, you can then begin to organize the contraction of money. And you can begin to shrink down the private issuers, because as you shore up the system with these new private issuers of stablecoins holding all these bonds, if they get enough liquidity on something like the XRP Ledger, you can then underpin the US dollar with the virtual currency XRP itself, because it will have reserves from every different sector of the world's economy backing it, not just one thing like a stable coin. To me, this is where it's all going, and tariffs play a massive role in this. Just like we got the Fed, and we need a new Fed chair. Too late, Jerome Powell cuts the rate another 1/4 point. Bitcoin in the markets took a drop based on it. Longs got liquidated. Don't forget, all of this started with the election of President Trump and his new administration, and then immediately finding out that Ripple is going and having dinner with him. And don't forget about President Trump's tweet about stockpiles, reserves, XRP, Bitcoin, ADA, Solana, and others. We even heard Kevin O'Leary say that he thinks in the next 5 or 6 months, the largest holder of U.S. Treasuries will be stablecoin issuers.
Seconds we have left. But I think that's fascinating now if we all almost inadvertently move away from the dollar and what effects that has on the inflationary aspects of the dollar.
We're not really moving away from the dollar. We're moving away from the paper currency, and we're moving to the U.S. Treasury bill, shorter duration than 92 days. I think in the next 5 or 6 months, the largest holder of U.S. Treasuries will be stablecoins.
And there it is right there. Now, I don't know if it happens in that short or quick a timeline, but it would suit me just fine because look where we're going to go here. Brad Garlinghouse spoke at a conference yesterday, and boy, was it straight fire. Now, I'm going to give you this from where he comes in, and I'm going to play the whole, it's about a minute clip, a little less. I'm going to let it play, and then after that, we're going to analyze what he said in such a short period of time. Boy, this guy's got, I tell you, anyway, let's let it play.
15 years, and I would expect that trend to continue.
Tom, if I may, I think you're demonstrating that we don't have a global consensus about crypto. Even in this conversation, and I agree that it still is early, partly because there is not a global consensus about some of these things.
Agree.
And I think some of the use cases, we're still extremely early in terms of scaled use cases. Circle is certainly one example that has started to have a scaled use case around a stablecoin. But I think the crypto industry, I agree, the next 16 years, I think will be better than the last 16 years because you'll finally see applications emerging that up until now have just been the store of value story or speculation.
I'm sorry, did you catch that? Look at the look on his face right there. He's like, did you catch what I just put across your bow? I caught it. Yeah, let me give it to you one more time. Brad's way.
Tom, if I may, I think you're demonstrating that we don't have a global consensus about crypto. Even in this conversation, and I agree that it still is early, partly because there is not a global consensus about some of these things.
Agree.
And I think some of the use cases, we're still extremely early in terms of scaled use cases. Circle is certainly one example that has started to have a scaled use case around a stablecoin.
Agreed.
But I think the crypto industry, I agree, the next 16 years, I think will be better than the last 16 years because you'll finally see applications emerging that up until now have just been the store of value story or speculation. You'll finally see applications emerging that up until now have just been the store of value story or speculation. You'll finally see applications emerging that up until now have just been the store of value story or speculation.
Okay. I just was told the prince is coming, so we're going to actually have to end this conversation soon. So
emerging that up until now have just been the store of value story or speculation.
Okay. I just was told the prince is coming, so we're going to actually have to end this conversation soon.
Isn't that interesting? I hope it's hitting you the way it's hitting me this morning. You'll finally see applications emerging that up until now have just been a store of value story, or speculation. Listen. I don't pretend to speak for Brad Garlinghouse ever, not on any day. But I tell you what, I think I understand clearly what the hell he just said that day. And I think Tom Lee got it too. And I happen to wonder, did the prince come or did Tom Lee just want to shut that conversation down? And just like that, the prince was coming and Tom ended the conversation. Guess what else is coming other than the prince? Utility. Because up until now, we've just been a store of value story or speculation. Go Brad Garlinghouse. Yeah. Well, listen. Well, let's talk about some speculation. I want you to imagine every G20 nation will have a real USD on and their own currency on the XRP ledger. from Argentina to the United States. I list it all right here. I do believe this, and I am speculating. But I want you to imagine what it looks like if this is correct. Now, we just got information about how David Schwartz, CTO until the end of the year at Ripple, and he's also going over to help at Evernorth now that it's here. But he cleared the air and said it absolutely, the Ripple escrow can be earmarked and given to clients, whether it's the account or XRP itself. We've been right about pre-allocation of XRP for over 8 years. And we finally got the full-fledged confirmation of it without a doubt. David Schwartz said it. He explained it, in fact. Now, let's, for an instant, understand that it's quite possible that some of those people that have earmarked pre-allocated option contracts in the Ripple escrow, what if they're the G20 nations? What if they're the largest financial players in Wall Street that are going to be at swell, like BlackRock and others? I'm asking the question. And what if Evernorth, which is going to be and is the world's largest XRP treasury for institutional use? Well, what if it's this? What if Evernorth becomes the place where all the earmarked contracts for the possible G20 nations that may have a stable coin on the XRP ledger, or the largest financial institutions in Wall Street and around the globe, take a position with XRP? And what if, as those earmarked contracts roll out on the monthly, when the escrow release happens, what if they roll it right into the Evernorth Treasury, creating the world's giant XRP liquidity pool? And don't forget, at the same time, it is a fact, it is not speculation, that Evernorth has made it very clear that they are going to purchase XRP off of the retail exchanges. So at some point, we're going to experience a supply shock, won't we? I mean, these are the questions we're asking. We're just watching the moves that they're making and asking the questions thereof it. That's all we're doing. And I'm asking it today. Will the earmarked contracts, the pre-allocated XRP positions, when they release at some point, dump over into Evernorth, the world's largest XRP treasury for institutions? I think it's a great question. And it may be the answer. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. We're going into the freedom zone, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we're going to take a look at the frustration of the U.S. government shutdown. And you should want to see it too. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. We're going into the freedom zone. Click the link underneath the video and join us inside and come on in.